Hi everybody, welcome to the weekly session, innovation session. So my name is Buddika and I'm a UI engineer, and Eshan, QA engineer, will be presenting this week's innovation session. We'll be talking about UI design trends and QA automation trends. Let's get started. Yeah, as you all know, a lot of things happening in the IT industry. They are evolving very fast. Going forward, a lot of technologies, new technologies get introduced, and some technologies left behind. We think different, we do things different. So it's a very challenging industry now. So in that industry, UI UX has become also has faced many transformations, and everybody has realized that UX UI acts as a backbone to the product success. So let's look at some techniques we see in web these days. We see some dramatic changes in typography. Big fonts, different color fonts combining with combining with each other, creating visually appealing stuff altogether. It has become a new trend. You know it. And long scroll and parallax scrolling. Actually, those days. Now we can call it a myth that most important content of the page should be positioned above the fold, above the scrolling level. So, but with Facebook, Twitter, and likewise applications, users have influence to scroll down and digging deep what's there, what's valuable information is there. So with that influence, it has proved with researchers and surveys that 66% of users' attention is below the fold. It is proven; it's a proven thing now. So we shouldn't be in that myth forever. We can come out of it, and we can place it. We can place our beautiful content wherever we think it's suitable. So in that scenario, we have to be careful that the thing we have to do is we have to create the enthusiasm, create the idea of in the user that there is something that that is important for me, that I should dig in deep. So if we can give such kind of impression to user, he will definitely go in there and see what's going on. So that's a trend now, long scrolling and card UI. With the introduction of Google's material design, card UI came to light. It has become a trend now. Valuable piece of information combined, gathered together, and they present it in a very attractive way. It's been followed by Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest like sites. It's a kind of a mainstream, getting mainstream level. Video and animation, you know, those were in the web from the beginning, and swiping and clicking, you have it in your mobile tablets, and micro interactions as well. Micro interactions in the sense, those are very tiny interactions you make. Maybe a message comes to your phone, an email comes to your phone, and you have a thing like sound notification that there's a message, right? And the LED indicates that you get a message, so you don't have to switch on the mobile screen always. It's like a interaction, a tiny interaction, but those interactions matter because those adds up to the final experience you do with a device or application. Push notifications and control over them. Let's say you have a message and you can expand it. you can reply it, you can dismiss it, you can delete it. Those controls you have, right? In today's mobiles, you have it. So ultimately, all these technologies combined together make a greater shift towards interactions, interactivity. So let's talk about interactions. Interaction is the best way you can reach your users, because that's what users do with your system or device, right? As you can see, the interactions is in a GIF, animatable GIF. So what is immersive interactions? Immersive interaction in the sense, it's those days we had systems, we have users. Users search for what they need, and system provide what they have, right? It's like a 2D experience. We didn't those days think about how users think, what they will need, what makes them angry, what makes them happy. There was no thinking like that. But nowadays, we think differently. We want to engage users with our system, with our device. We like to get to know him. We think about his psychological behaviors. We think about his feelings, emotions, and we like to understand him, right? So it's like a 3D, like a 360 view of our approach, a total coverage. That's what immersive interactions means. It's totally identifying and understand users and systems. Good interaction design is about attending to every moment between a user and a device. So it's not just do some transaction, do some reading. It's not like that. The every moment you connect with a system or a device, we have to pay attention to that. So every moment matters. To do that, we need additionally to web designing skills, we need to think about some other aspects as well, like psychology, storytelling, which is preferred by humans always, and visual artistry, which is very appealing to everyone, and good amount of delightful surprises, which might be something that you never expect. You go for one particular thing, and if we can intelligently propose something that is valuable for the user, that he didn't even think about that it is valuable for him, it will be that's a delightful surprise, right? So it add values to your application. There are 5 pillars of interaction design. First one is goal-driven design. Our application should have a goal, right? We design things for a purpose, either it's selling or buying or whatever it is. That's the purpose. So to identify our goal, to go for our goal, we need to understand users. We need to get them. We need to get details about what they need. So we can conduct interviews and create personas and user scenarios to identify those. This is a very valuable study because it has tremendous value. I'll show you some example persona. This is a sample persona. Persona in the sense, persona is something that it reflects a specific person, but not a real specific person. Specific real person. Sorry. So it can represent a bunch of people in the society. Okay. So group of people. So the thing is, we can get an idea about the audience that our application interacts with. So this is a sample one, and it's a easy write email program done for that persona. And here we collect his personal desires, what is his weaknesses, his capabilities and stuff. We collect it, and his day-to-day life, what is he doing. We gather all the details by conducting interviews or something. And the beauty here is, it says as a weakness of him, what he hates the most, because this is not a tech-savvy person. This is just a normal person who looks at softwares like an alien, right? They're scared to do some things. We, as tech-savvy persons, we do go there and do something and check it again, do something. These are not people like that. So he has a weakness that when sending emails, this is email writing program, and he miss subject or attachments, and he send emails. That is one of the most hated things he face using softwares. So we have captured that scenario in our persona, and when designing and doing engineering stuff, we can keep that in mind, because we have identified that, and the system in return has designed it in a way that if he miss subject or attachment, it send a pop-up. Easy, right? But that is a burning issue. That's a burning issue for him, but we think it's simple. It's a big thing for him. So in this persona, we could address that with this one. So it's very valuable, and at the end it will enhance overall user experience as a whole. And usability. The features we provide to users, they should function properly. There shouldn't be oops always, and it shouldn't break in the middle of the story. It should flawlessly go ahead. That's what usability means. Signifiers, in the sense, those are visual clues that you have in your system, like maybe to depict a menu, you have hamburger icons, drop down arrow keys, and likewise those are visual clues that users identify that it does some kind of such kind of action. And learnability. Learnability is something that humans have most of the cognitive load. It exhausts if we allow them to learn continuously. So in design, we can use this concept and make consistent flows, consistent pages, consistent sections. So he is very familiar with the first scenario, and it would be a very enjoyable experience for him, because he is already familiar with the content we supplied. Otherwise, it will be another learning thing for him if it's not consistent. So we have to pay much attention to that learnability thing. And feedback and response time, actually that's it acts like your role in the conversation, right? The good feedback you get, it's the more you success, and the response time the users perform it much it less. It's adds up the value. And other thing is animations. So we see animations in the web most of the places in today's world. Earlier it was started with Flash and stuff. Now with HTML5, CSS3 and JavaScript technologies advances, it has become the trend nowadays. And where can we use animations? We can use animations to create fun. Rather than just displaying text, I'll show you this example. So you can use animations to create fun rather than just displaying text and images you can use animated stuff to give your content to users, and you can use distract. You can use animations to distract users. Do we really need to distract users? Yes, sometimes we do, right? When our system application loads, we don't want users to see look at that, just loading, working on it. It's how about if we can display some kind of animation? We have examples here, but unfortunately we can't show you. So likewise, there are things we can do and engage users, get the users input into our application and customize as they need, like the Motorola site you have seen. It allows users to customize the look and feel of the phone, specifications they need, and customize it as they need. At the end of the day, he can buy what he customized. So that's kind of a experience. You can use animation stuff and tell a story. So this is a very nice example. If we can show you, but yeah, it's not possible. Yeah, this is about making coffee actually. So we can display it with text and images, right? How to make a coffee? That's very simple. But look at how they have designed. So you scroll down and you give instructions. See, it's very visually appealing rather than seeing text and stuff. No. No. Yeah. Where this animation exists. So it's from the beginning it was there in the hover state. So when you go over a button or a link or a drop down or something, it shows you the status change, right? That's they have used animation there. I'm not going to show you each and every example due to time constraints. And galleries and slideshows, yes, they have used extensively there. The thing is, when using animations, you have to be careful because if you use it excessively, it will give some kind of a discomfort for users. It will like a headache. So choose it wisely. And navigation and menus, left navigation, drop downs, collapsibles, and everything. There are animations. And loading, as we discussed, we can use animations. And attracting attention. So as humans, as biological creatures, our human eye is tend to be more sensitive to motion. Let's say you have hundred of people in a room, and one person is waving hand or a waving head, so you can easily identify that person, right? That's how our eyes are made of. It's very sensitive to motion. So that capabilities we can take into the design. That's what animations are used for, because animation is supposed to be changed from one state to another, and that change is visible to user. If we can use it wisely, that will be a very value for our application ultimately to the end goal. And as you all know, this is just few trends that we have mentioned, and also responsive design is also a trend. A mainstream trend, but we all know it, right? There's nothing new in it. And the QA automation in UI testing is it's something new. I'm sure that most of you haven't heard about design automation testing. So Eshan will be covering that, and I'll give him the chances. Eshan.
So I'll be covering the UI testing part, which was mentioned by Buddika. So the UI testing is all about how to give our implementation to our stakeholders in a good manner. So I'll be covering the UI testing part from a checklist. So the first point is about browser compatibility. So all the layouts in our web page, images, buttons, so everything should be visible in every browser if we switch to a different browser. So if our browser support only for selected number of browsers, we should mention it in our booklet or whatever. So having a browser compatibility is a must for any good quality product. So the next point is about keyboard and mouse interactions, where we have to get, we might have to get users inputs and as well as users give output to users from keyboard, mouse, and some touch displays, etc. So like getting users input is like we have to do in a good manner, like Buddika mentions, like giving animations, some without making them bored. We have to get their inputs which is relevant to our application. So the next point is about the font, using of font colors and brightnesses. So as an example, if we are using a link test, it should be identical among the other text area. So we can make it underlined or change the color of the link. So those kind of thing, doing that, we can identical the link test of that text area. And color and brightness also another important thing in the UI. So we should match our colors with the theme of our web application or the desktop application. And the general elements are like using of radio buttons, checkboxes, and images, etc. So what is UI automation testing? So I'll be covering UI automation testing by introducing a new framework which is known as Galen. So having a UI automation to any application would ensure that we have a tripwire among the most critical business logic in our application, which is the UI. So having a good UI will make our quality better and have a good product, have a good end product. So among the various UI automation frameworks have chosen Galen-Framework. So I'll be having a small review on this framework. So you all can see the images about how the reports are generating, and this supports cross-browser functionalities and mobiles as well. So the special qualities of this framework is it supports responsiveness of it support to test the responsive web pages, and as well as mobiles, tablets, etc. And then there's a special feature in this framework which it can compare two images, like screenshot if we want to test something like that. And it gives detailed reports, which is a very valuable thing. So we can easily identify where we have done wrong in our coding or the testing automation test suite. So these are the main specialties in this framework. There are well written documentations, and this supports Java and JavaScript both, and of course the responsive web design test, and and it supports Phantom.js, and no need of to have internal coding before we proceed to the UI automation coding. So we can just inspect the element and start writing our test cases for the UI. And it runs above Selenium, so which is a good advantage. We can run both together without having much effort to match those two frameworks. So we'll go for a demo and see how the framework looks like. So this is a sample code which was written to check the alignments of header text. Actually, so this is the site which I am using to do my automation testing. So we are going to element this inspect. Sorry. So I am going to inspect this element, which is the ID as header logo. So it is left of the header text, which is the sample website for Galen-Framework. So here we are declaring like object as header logo and header text as h1, and then we are checking whether the header logo is the left of header text. So here I have given 2 pixels, so it means the header logo is 2 pixels left of header text. So we'll have a run it and see. So this is the code to run our gspec file. So it has given Galen check home, and this is the URL. The file name is home.gspec, and I have given screen size as 1024 to 768, and the latter part is about HTML reports. So we can generate reports using this framework. So we have run it. See. So it says our test case is fail. So we can check that the error by looking into the reports. So this is the view of the reports. So it says that the header logo is 22 pixels left of header text, so which is instead of 2 pixels. So now we can change our code and do a testing again. So I am making it to 22 pixels. Now the test is passed. So if we check the reports, it's in the green color, so test is passed, and the test is passed, header is in the right position. So this page is already a responsive web page. So we make it like in a mobile view, so now we can making our browser to this size, we can check for the responsiveness of this website. So we'll see how we can do it. So I have written a small code to test the responsiveness of our website. So as the previous one, this is also like the same, where we are checking whether each element is in the right position if we change the size of our browser. So we'll have a run and see. So I'm changing the screen size to 500 and changing my file. And the test pass. So which means our web page is responsive, and we can check the reports. So altogether 9 test cases. I have written header, header logo, header caption, and as well as the menu items. So all are in a viewable position. Nothing goes beyond the boundaries, or nothing overlapping or anything. So the site is perfectly responsive. So and some other specialties in this framework is think of an instance like this. So if we click this link, the form will get disabled and again enabled. So we can write test cases using existing UI automation frameworks. It will take some time. So if we are using Galen-Framework, we just have to take a screenshot in this area and compare two images and get the feedback. So it is much easier than writing each element and checking the color change of each name, description, submit. We just have to take 2 screenshots from disable mode and enable mode, and we can compare them and decide whether the form is enabled or disabled. So it is like a special feature in this framework. The next one is like so this image shows how the images are capturing, like this is the actual image and this is the expected. So this is a fail test case, and it the comparison map of the framework. So this framework too has some limitations too, like it doesn't work well with Safari and Windows. So which is a minus point because most of the machines are running on Windows, and Safari is like the main browser in the iPhones and Apple devices. So in the near future, this will be a great framework for the UI automation testing. Yeah, so that's it from our end. Thank you all.